When we attune and synchronize to the releasing stimuli, inner cosmicity begins to flow into our consciousness, an aspect of cosmicity that nourishes a higher order in our lives. A collection of quotes featuring insightful recordings of Daniel Gagliardo's teachings, the founder and instructor of Cosmosophy line Uksim, recorded during Cosmosophy gatherings held across Europe and in the serene landscapes of Uksim, Argentina. What exactly constitutes the universe? It compasses the vast expanse of space and time, including all matter, energy, galaxies, stars, planets, and cosmic phenomena that exist. Let's hear Daniel Gagliardo's answer. Universe means a field of energy governed specifically by laws for a specific effect, which cannot be repeated. A universe has the characteristics of being non-repeatable. It is organized by energy with specific aspects of laws. Although there are certain laws that govern everything when applied to a universe, those laws take on unique characteristics. Therefore, it is considered a universe exclusively when the cosmic laws, under a unique specific or characteristic, govern it, governing a field of energy. Thus, a universe is everything that can symbolize a circle of consciousness, a field of consciousness that is under the rule of the cosmic laws with exclusive characteristics. This, in turn, allows us to experience or undergo experiences that are also exclusive. That is why it is said that no particle is repeated. All particles are exclusive, unique. Why, says Daniel Gagliardo? Because ultimately, the concept of the universe is managed from the microcosmic to the macrocosmic. So, the universal concept that can be found in particles of tiny dimensions, in particles of infinite scope for our consciousness, or in unimaginable sets of galaxies. It is an intergalactic universe composed of intergalactic energies. This means that the composition of and governance of the laws for a group of galaxies is not the same as the influence or intervention of the laws for a galaxy or solar system, a group of solar systems, a planet, or a group of planets. Therefore, an energy field that has an exclusive combination or complementarity of energies, forces, laws, entities, and hierarchies is always considered universal. The expression of the race, regardless of the extent to which and how they are complemented, obeys the law of necessity. And since these universes also obey the law of necessity, the activity they must sustain and the race present in that activity will derive from the same source by necessity. Both the universes under the laws of expansion and those under the laws of inalterability or inchangeable, unmutable, are what they are strictly because of the law of necessity. And without these universes, neither would those, because the compositional or constitutive meaning of those of the cosmos is synthesis. And without these universes, neither would those, because the compositional or constitutive meaning of the cosmos is synthesis. The cosmos is pure synthesis. Everything in the present cosmos has strictly what is necessary, and if anything were missing, the cosmos would be flawed, distorted, and defective. Therefore, everything that exists, even if it seems to be completely opposite to each other, is necessary and complementary. Why, says Daniel Gagliardo? Because the cosmos makes it complementary, because everything that exists is necessary, and if it is necessary, it cannot be absent. Even those things that may seem opposite are complementary. Even those things that may seem opposite are complementary, because in the cosmic will and consciousness, they're necessary. They make up the whole, and a part of the whole. They are fields of expression of the one, of the unique. If any of them were not there, it would mean that there is a tremendous fault. It is the fault of San Andres del Cosmos. At any moment, an earthquake could come and everything would come crashing down. So what exists because the whole could not manifest itself without it. When it's said that anything a being supposes on some level of cosmic life is an absolute reality, that is what is being referred to. When we have a great imagination, toxic but great, even the most far-fetched things, the most toxically evolutionary, or we could say not so evolutionary, anything we could imagine in relation to what is not expansive, for example, what is unalterable, on some level of the cosmos, is an absolute truth because the non-existence of possibilities cannot exist. So the cosmos ensures that the non-existence of possibilities is only a transitory state of consciousness for those who lack the capacity to understand everything. The question is excellent. Yes, there are things that do not yet make up a universe based on a certain senses or requirements that the evolutionary laws or the laws of unalterability would have to be taken into account. For example, a bacterium, a germ, a virus, or a microorganism can symbolically be seen as an universe, yes, but it is governed by the laws of the planetary universe. In that sense, when the microcosmic-macrocosmic relationship is extreme, it is said that the element is placed in a universal framework to expand its consciousness, its range of activity, and at some point evolve into something else. So they are primary universes, which are those that contain an activity, preserving their path towards the archetype, and they are universes that are of secondary order, which are only governed by certain laws in order to be in a contact with or framed with these primary universes, which are those that govern the main and fundamental activity in the universe. So, continues Daniel Gagliardo, from a certain point of view, everything is a universal field, but the activity of a certain laws, that the active hierarchical principle, the conductivity they have. Our solar system is under laws of expansion, under evolutionary laws. These universes are in another vibrational frequency of the cosmic order. They complement each other. For example, we can see yin and yang. They are well defined. They do not mix. The symbol of yin and yang is well defined. We could say, therefore, to make it understandable, that those two universal poles are like yin and yang. They are concurrent and simultaneous, contemporaneous. One could not exist without the other, because if we paint everything white, everything black, the little circle we have already gone to the extreme, to one extreme. There is no longer any complementary. So these universes complement each other, but the activity of these universes, precisely because it is complementary, cannot merge. Rather, this complementary occurs because each of these universal activities is not confused with the other. Complementary is not confusing, merging or mixing. Making this diffuse is a karmic test, but the cosmos at those levels of regency does not fall into these karmic failings of mixing things, of blending. Otherwise, it would be cosmic syncretism. not because one cannot be integrated into another. But what the unique consciousness, the one unique law, the laws of creation, do is harmonize these energies with each other, graduate them with each other, apply them to each other, according to where certain voltages of that complementary are needed. In those universes, what exists are laws. Beings, as we understand the term being, are in a continuous evolutionary process. Those laws that sustain the universes of inalterability, which is a set of laws. That is why it is said, under the laws of inalterability, under laws. This means that there is a complement. There are a number of laws that generate the platform where those universes are sustained and expressed. And beings involve a work of individuality that is born in the monad, in the spirit. That is to say, they are cosmic birds, so that they can be placed in a road, on the evolutionary highway, so to speak, consciousnesses that will go through stages. If there were beings in those universes, they would be condemned to what? What is the meaning of the cosmos placing consciousnesses in an energy field that has the evolutionary path forbidden to them? So that is to say, if these consciousnesses are consciousnesses, if they are beings, they must be created. And if they are created, they are born in absolute ignorance. That is to say, as soon as they were created, born, placed in a universe that does not allow evolution, ignorance would be the divine punishment of those consciousnesses, because there would not be another option. On the other hand, the laws, which are aspects, externalization of energy, do not have this problem, because energy itself has conditions that do not pass through the evolutionary path. That is why energy can govern both universes under expansive laws and universes under laws of inalterability, because it does not limit energy. Energy moves like a fish in water in everything. Let's suppose your question is valid. Those universes are created. They are created, but they do not have in their conformation as creation, as a consequence of creative energy, they do not have the evolutionary principle, because they do not have to comply with evolutionary stages. What they have to do is an irradiative process, unalterably irradiative for creation, for a certain period of time, for a certain period, for an extension of expression of cosmic intelligence. Why? Continues Daniel Gagliardo. Because what they are is complementary to the other pole of cosmic life, which is expansion. They do not grow or evolve. It does not mean that they evolve by doing that. You got confused with what I was saying about the other universes. Those universes do not evolve. The condition in which they manifest themselves, the beginning of their manifestation and the end of their manifestation, is not evolution, but the radiation of certain types of energies that are necessary in the context of the whole. In the same way, the energies released by the consciousnesses that are under the laws of expansion are also necessary in the whole, because any expansive or unchanging activity cannot avoid radiating. It is just that radiation under the laws of unchangingness does not follow evolutionary principles. It is just that radiation under the laws of inalterability, unchangingness, does not follow evolutionary principles. That is to say, it is not promoting or sustaining the transformation of the universe that lives by the radiative principle, because universes that are under the laws of expansion, when they receive energy and when they release it, undergo a process of transformation. While these universes are governed by aspects of the laws that, when receiving the releasing energy, do not change their condition. Why is this? Because the energy itself treats them and supplies them with a principle that is not expansive but unalterable. Those universes receive food from the law in terms of energy, which does not alter them in the slightest. The only thing energy does is to sustain the principle of inalterability in those universes, while in other universes energy supplies the conditions and the properties with which it touches those universes, transformation and expansion. The nourishment of energy for these others is inalterability. Therefore, the knots, whether individual or joined together, which in the case of being joined are cosmic cords, do not at any time imply a transformation of the whole or of the universe that is individually carrying forward a vibrationary knot. That is absolutely inalterable. They are inhabited and sustained by energy, by a condition or expression of energy. Not all universes are fields of energy for sets of consciousnesses that are expanding or evolving. There are universes whose purpose is to radiate a vibratory note. That is to say, they are not inhabited by sets of consciousnesses, many or few, or of different qualities, but rather their function is to radiate energy vibratory pattern in an alterable way. So, From a certain point of view, one could say that these universes, whether they are groups of universes or universes that operate individually in this sense, are tools of a certain type and condition of the unique energy. So the single consciousness, the universal cosmic consciousness, what it does is use the instruments it has and the different ranks of existence, of intelligence, no matter what laws they're under. Because that consciousness governs everything, complementing according to the stages and flows, waving, making a framework of different variables of energy based on the law of necessity. This means that all universes that are active under both the laws of inalterability and the laws of expansion cannot avoid receiving energy flows, which are actually intrinsic, inherent to both universes, because there is a single energy. However, we must be clear and not fall into the trap, without realizing it, of trying to establish links and connections that do not actually exist. Because the connection is not between those universes, but in a single pole that sustains them both. The single, unique pole is what distributes the energy conditions it deems necessary for each cycle or stage. So, like Daniel Gagliardo was saying, these universes are activated and deactivated by the law of creation, according to their integral and unique needs. Therefore, the number of these universes can vary. In fact, it varies continuously by the condition of each element that composes either the individuality of a universe or the set of universes is not altered. What is not altered is the activity of each universe, regardless of whether it is placed in a court or not. When placed in a court, that is, in a set of those universes, the creative energy varies the component of the court. It can subtract it, it can add it, that is, it can change the number of components. But what does not change is the activity of each universe that makes up the set, strictly with the framework of its composition. a collection of quotes featuring insightful recordings of Daniel Gagliardo's teachings, the founder and instructor of Cosmosophy line Uksim, recorded during Cosmosophy gatherings held across Europe and in the serene landscapes of Uksim, Argentina. In these meetings with Daniel Gagliardo, stimuli and concepts from inner life are made available to the participants. The different themes arise from the questions provided by those attendees, thus allowing for a valuable dynamic of communication and instruction. The acceleration of the apex of the planetary transition offers in these talks tools of synthesis intended for those individuals or groups whose fate and intention to transform confirm their adherence to the cosmic order that will soon be restored on the planet.